New World Order. Novus Ordo Seclorum. The term New World Order isn't new for conspiracy theory enthusiasts. Some people see it as a sign of the Antichrist's arrival, while others connect it to the end of the world. But what if the New World Order isn't just a theory? What if it's a historical pattern that we've seen unfold time and time again? This world operates on cycles and patterns. The moon revolves around the earth and the earth around the sun. Seasons change in a predictable rhythm. Human life, even the financial world, follows these patterns too. Recognizing these patterns gives us an advantage. We can anticipate and prepare for the future. In this video, we'll explore a pattern that many call the New World Order. Chapter 1. What is the New World Order? The New World Order is a new era, a turning point marked by the fall of an old government and the rise of a new one. More precisely, it's the fall and rise of an empire that changes how humans live with new rules, new culture, new language, and even new money. The New World Order is a tipping point that transforms history time and time again. But it's not a one-time event. The New World Order occurs in cycles. A revolution often marks the beginning of these changes. Chapter 2. The Big Cycle of the New World Order. Just like humans, every empire and government has a lifespan. There's a time of birth, a golden age, old age, and finally decline. To understand the New World Order, you need to understand the cycle it follows. I learned from Ray Dalio's book, The Changing World Order. Ray Dalio explains this clearly, illustrating the New World Order with a concept called the Big Cycle. According to Dalio, the New World Order occurs every 100 years, with a 40-year transition period. During this transition, a new empire rises, challenging the existing dominant power. The Big Cycle has three main phases: the rise, the peak, and the decline. When a government or empire begins to decline, it's usually followed by a competing nation or empire that enters its own rising phase, eventually replacing the old order. Now let's zoom in on these cycles to see where we are today. There are 18 stages in the life cycle of a new world order. It begins in the decline phase of the current power. In stages 13 to 17, we see mounting debt, internal conflicts, currency devaluation, weak leadership, and often a war or revolution that marks the endgame. Meanwhile, at the same time, a new power emerges with strong leadership, innovations, a well-educated population, a good culture, efficient resource allocation, and financial stability. As the old order falls, this new power takes over, ushering in a new era with its own language, culture, and currency. However, reaching the top phase isn't without its challenges. At the peak, people become complacent, enjoying wealth and privileges while losing their competitive edge. The gap between the ultra-rich and ordinary people widens, leading to internal tensions and the eventual decline of this new world order. Chapter 3. 500 Years of World Government History. To understand the Big Cycle, let's take a quick look at the last 500 years of world history. In the 1500s, the Spanish Empire controlled 13% of the Earth's land, extracting wealth from its colonies. Spain was the world's dominant power until the Kingdom of the Netherlands rose and overthrew Spanish rule in 1581. The Dutch Golden Age began with the VOC, known as Dutch East India Company, the world's first multinational corporation, which dominated global trade. Amsterdam became the world's financial center, and Dutch culture and currency spread worldwide. However, by the 1800s, the Dutch Empire began to decline, losing competitiveness to the British Empire. Britain then emerged as the new global leader, controlling a vast portion of the world and its trade. In the 20th century, after World War I, the British Empire began to struggle financially, with rising debts and internal tensions. At the same time, the United States and Germany were rising powers. The transition to the American-led world order occurred in 1944 with the Bretton Woods Agreement, which established the US dollar as the global reserve currency. America's golden age lasted from the 1950 to the 1970. But by 1971, America ran out of gold reserves and removed the dollar from the gold standard, leading to inflation. Meanwhile, China was on the rise, implementing economic reforms that have made it a major global competitor. Chapter 4. Where are we now? So, where are we in this big cycle? If you look at data from the last 500 years, each period of the New World Order lasts about 100 years, with a transition period of 20 to 40 years. The US dollar has been the world's reserve currency since 1944, and it seems we're now in the transition period. Signs of this transition include rising debt, money printing, internal conflicts, currency devaluation, and weak leadership. These are all indicators that we're approaching the end of the current world order. Even the US dollar is at risk of being replaced by the Chinese yuan after Saudi Arabia decided not to renew its petrodollar contract. This is a sign of the dollar's decline. If you haven't seen our last video on the petrodollar, make sure to check it out. It's a crucial watch, a tipping point in understanding the future of US dollar dominance. Chapter 5. What if the New World Order happens? Since the Bretton Woods Agreement, most world currencies have been tied to the dollar. But as the dollar loses value due to inflation, this could lead to a major shift in global finance. The problem is all global currencies have been tied to the dollar. What was once backed by gold has now become a fiat currency with no real backing. Meanwhile, most countries' foreign reserves are already held in dollars. When the US Federal Reserve prints more dollars, our currencies lose value due to hyperinflation. Historically, the end game often leads to a shift back to money backed by real assets, like gold or a new currency introduced by the next dominant power. Or perhaps this is the moment for the rise of people's money. Could Bitcoin be the answer? Even in the United States, discussions and legislative proposals are emerging, led by Senator Cynthia Lummis, to consider Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. Chapter 6. Learning from History. People learn life lessons based on their own experiences. But we shouldn't just learn from our own experience, we also need to learn from history. One big cycle of the New World Order is almost as long or even longer than the lifespan of a single generation. That's why so many people think that when governments fall and new global powers, elites, laws, and orders emerge, it's the end of the world. They're completely unprepared. But the truth is, the New World Order is an event that always happens in cycles. The event is the same. Only the characters and costumes change. It's like watching a movie remake over and over again. You're lucky to have watched this video until the end because you'll be much more prepared than those who have no idea what's coming. So please subscribe this channel and share the video. Are you ready for the New World Order, a change that's bound to happen in our generation? How do we prepare? Stay tuned and look out for the next video, where I'll discuss this in a video titled The Future of Money.